Welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. Coming up on today's episode, the price behind Vlachodimos. Have we pulled Newcastle's pants down? What was the fee for Aguilera? We will reveal. And Taiwo has personal issues, or is he injured? And surely it's now time for Southgate out. All this and plenty more coming up on your latest Forest news. Let's get into it. Good morning, good evening, or good night. Hope you guys are doing well, and welcome to your latest Nottingham Forest news. And boy, have we got some stuff to disclose for you today. If you're enjoying the content, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And don't forget, this is the last chance, well, close to the last chance of getting the Mr. Anderson signed frame boot, because there's only a few tickets left. Scan the QR code or click on the link in the comments down below. Okay, we need to jump straight into this, and we've been talking to a lot of people and getting some fascinating information on Vlachodimos and Christina Aguilera as well. We're going to talk about it now. So this initially, when we heard it, was a day before it's come out in the Telegraph that Forest have paid 15 million for Anderson. It's not 35 million. I think it was John Percy that was talking about it. However, from the people we've spoken to, this is not technically true, even though it is kind of technically true. Let me explain. So, Forest got into the PSR party, just like we saw the likes of Villa doing, Chelsea and the others. Forest did this as well. Forest got 22 million for Vlachodimos. Yes, you don't need to adjust your TV sets or your volumes. You heard me right. 22 million. And in terms of the Anderson deal, that I can't confirm, so we'll stick with the reported fee of 35, which brings the Anderson fee to about 13 million pounds, which isn't a million miles off what the Telegraph is saying. However, it's not like Forest gave 15 million for Anderson. So I think the Telegraph have slightly got their knickers in a twist. Is that still a saying? I don't know. And it's the exchange of the fees. So basically, Forest got 22 mil up front. That amortization is ridiculous, by the way, in terms of the profit we made on Vlachodimos. And then in terms of Newcastle, they were able to secure the 35 million, all profit to them, because of course Anderson was an academy player. And it kind of makes more sense, because we've been scratching our head thinking, why have Forest bailed Newcastle out? What were we going to gain? We all expected maybe a Langer or a Morgan Gibbs-White bid coming later in the transfer window. But right now, it's kind of status quo. Forest were able to push miles clear of the PSR dotted line, and the same with Newcastle. So this to me makes sense. And it doesn't, I'm not saying that Newcastle won't come in for a Langer or Morgan Gibbs-White. But if they do, I don't now expect to see an overinflated deal to get that one over the line. Now, the question is, will this be looked into by the Premier League? The answer is most probably yes. However, there is absolutely nothing they can do. Look back at the interview we took, where we got told that it doesn't really matter if the Premier League look into it. Because at the end of the day, valuations can be subjective. They can be. And if Forest can show enough leeway that Vlachodimos was worth 22 million and Newcastle can show that Anderson was worth 35 million, then the Premier League are literally stuck, and this loophole is going to screw them over. It also means they're going to have to go after Chelsea, Villa, Newcastle, Everton, so on and so forth. And that's not a look they're going to want to have. Now, it's interesting to say the least. And as I said, it makes a lot of sense now. And shout out to my guy, he knows who he is, for bringing me this information. What I will add, I haven't spoken to the club about this. This is based on a source that I really do trust, and the information is red hot. And that brings us on to Aguilera and about his fee. Now, we don't know what the fee was to start with. There's speculation it was like 500,000 and what have you. What we are being told is the fee for him was £6 million. Yes, £6 million, which is ridiculously high. But this one is really interesting. Now, again, shout out to my source, is from them as well. What they've told me is that Forest were able to get an American club to bid for him. Almost like, I don't want to say a fake bid, but just a tester one. It's almost like you're at an auction and you're trying to push the other person's price up to show his valuation. So a bid for about 5.8 million was put in quotations for Aguilera, which then allowed Marinakis' other club to then put a £6 million bid in and Forest to sell it. And that way, Forest can now turn around and say, well, that was his valuation. We had one just under for 5.8 million. This is fascinating stuff. But all it's saying to me is that Forest are so clear of PSR, it's more and more like obvious as all this news comes out. So just to recap, Forest got 22 million for Vlachodimos, 6 million for Christina Aguilera, and paid about 35 million for Anderson, which we all felt was overinflated. But when you break it down, technically, Anderson cost Forest between 13 and 15 million pounds. What do you guys think about all that? Has it blown your mind? Let me know in the comments down below. All right, guys, let's go and move on to a weird developing story with Taiwo and what's going on with him. Is he injured or is he dealing with personal issues? Now, there's been two conflicting stories on this. One from Paul Taylor from The Athletic and one from Nuno as well. Now, let me read you out what Paul Taylor has said. He has said, Taiwo Awoniyi is not here today because he's dealing with a personal issue. This completely contradicts what Nuno has said as well. And let me read you out Nuno's quote. He said he had a problem in the first training session of the week. Let's see how long it takes. Nuno said this after the 3-0 away victory against Chesterfield. It was something in his calf. Unfortunately, not for today. Hopefully, he doesn't miss too much of pre-season. For all of them, it's pre-season is important and more so for Taiwo. So these two are completely contradicting each other. And I guess the real question is, who's going to be telling the truth? Not that I'm saying either one is lying, because it seems that I think maybe that quote from Paul was before the match. And this one being directly from the horse's mouth in Nuno, I probably give this more credence and more weight. And it's a worrying situation now with Taiwo. It seems like he picks up a niggle and that keeps him out for a long period. And Nuno there was hinting that that could be a while, basically, because he hasn't said like he'll be back in training next week or what have you. It's a case of let's wait and see. And it brings me on to the question that's probably been discussed on here over the last few months. And is that, do we need to move Taiwo on? We saw towards the end of the season, he did an interview where he said and didn't commit to his Forest future completely. It was a kind of, well, let's see. We've heard reports and rumours that there were clubs in the MLS looking at him and he was somewhat interested. But at the moment, he's still at Forest. But is his injury record going to get any better? And can we rely on him? And let's be honest, Chris Wood's injury record isn't much better either. It's very rare that we have seen them both fit at the same time. They seem to like tag each other in and out. It's like a WWE Tag Team Championship match. So I'm getting to the stage now where I think Forest need to upgrade their strikers in terms of a younger, fitter kind of striker, not made of biscuits, who can see out a whole season. We're lucky that the Che Adams story has died down heavily. Forest, don't forget your promise to me on that one. But we do definitely need a striker. Now, Nuno talked about bringing in wingers. We're lacking in wingers. We covered that off yesterday. But I want to ask you guys now, would you move Taiwo on? Or would you risk it and keep him? Because his injury record before Forest wasn't bad at all at Union Berlin. He was quite, more times than not, he was fit. He also had stamina issues there. They used to sub him off every 60, 65 minutes or so, pretty much in every game. But I do worry looking forward. And I personally now am at the stage where I think if someone's willing to buy him, we know West Ham were interested. As I said, the MLS teams are interested. We move him on. But who's going to pick him up with his injury record? That's the big question. Really want to know your thoughts on this. Get them in down below. So commiserations to all the England fans and the England players as they fell to a late defeat to Spain last night. But as someone born in Scotland, I feel I can come at this with some neutrality. Yeah, you lot really believe me, don't you? Look, I just want to make a couple of comments on Gareth Southgate, especially for the sanity of all my English mates, because I watched that game yesterday and it just looked like Cooper ball on an international front. And we know that's going to be the case with Southgate because they were both schooled together in the same train of thought. And you could see it, low block until they went behind. Then they came out for a couple of minutes, got the goal. They had the momentum, and what do? They go into low block, deep line football and eventually concede the goal. England had a really easy run, not just in this tournament, but in previous tournaments. And for me, Southgate has to go. You can't have the quality of players that England currently have and ruin them with a negative manager like Southgate. He needs to go. And for me, ideally, he needs to go to Manchester United. God, please let me see the day that happens. But for your guys' sanity, does he need to go? I'm talking obviously to the English fans watching out there. Are you done with Southgate? Or do you respect the fact that he's got you to back-to-back finals, that he got you to the semis of the World Cup or whenever it was? Is it good enough? I think not. England should be walking that tournament. Spain never came into this tournament as favourites, but they really built the momentum up through the groups and through the knockout stages. And they definitely did deserve to win the tournament, in my opinion. And let's not forget, the only team to beat Spain during the Euros or the qualifiers for it was, of course, Scotland. But joking aside, he has to go. I like watching football, but I cannot sit there and watch England playing that turgid brand of football, knowing the players they have, that they are not unleashing. And you guys must be feeling some serious frustration behind this one. So for me, for the sake of football, for beautiful football to win, Southgate has to go. Do you guys agree with that? Or do some of you still want him to stay? Let me know in the comments down below. And that, ladies and gents, brings you up to date with your latest Forest news and England news, technically. If you haven't already, please don't forget to hit that like button. Subscribe to Forest Fan TV if you are new. And don't forget to grab those final few tickets from Football Prizes. And we'll see you on the next video. Come on, you Reds.